Hello, my audience. Um, I, um, reviewing the movie of what year was the year it came out? Anyway, I give this movie, Avengers Infinity War, a 5 out of 10. You know, you're being duped into a movie when the trailer gives you a bunch of good footage and, none of the footage really in the final product of the movie for the official trailer showed. Yeah, I got duped into thinking that this movie was a different movie. Um, based on how cool the official trailer was. Same as to say, my expectations got destroyed with the Avengers brand at this point. Um, there's tons of action this time around, but this movie has given up on making sense of stuff. Um, Even more so than what we didn't get. Like how um, how Avengers: Age of Ultron was a bit of a letdown, and you would think that they would know how to improve with the third installment. Um, Sometimes the third one really is the worst. Sometimes the fourth installments were the worst, and that would be Endgame. This movie had its moments, but a lot of it was lame and dragged on, and felt too long of an unnecessary bloated movie. That's why I give Ant-Man, shit, I mean, Avengers Infinity War a 5 out of 10. It nonetheless has spectacle and tons of loud action that'll keep you awake with this uninteresting plot and characters. Okay, on. That's my thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. Well, I give it a 6 out of 10. And now I'm going to talk about Avengers Endgame. I give that, you know, I've kind of talked to myself, and I kind of feel like Avengers and Endgame really didn't need to happen. After seeing the movie, I felt like it was a mistake to make this installment, the fifth installment to Avengers. I would have just had them ended at the third one, and then maybe like come with some different, have them have a different plot with the fifth one. Make it take place a few years later, and wait 2 years to make another Avengers movie, then have a follow up after Infinity War wrapped up. Because Avengers Endgame is just a wasted movie. It pokes fun time travel cliches while also falling victim with time travel cliches and movies. And it pokes self-aware of its plot, but also not being aware of its plot. In a lot of it, the footage you see the Avengers just having brunch and talking about their feelings. And in therapy session, that's one of the first things we see Captain America in, a therapy reception. Isn't this exciting? What you expected from the Avengers? What, you expected a spectacle? Well, too bad. Well, 90% of this movie's talking about their feelings. And what are they going to do? We should do something about it. Should we do something about it? We should do something about it. Dynamic conflict. While trying to figure out how to do something about it. Then Scott Lang, the Jesus figure of the plot, who is the Messiah at this point, the smartest one that comes with the idea of time travel. Then Tony Stark says, no, you shouldn't do something about this. But we should do something about the Avengers, say. They're all bickering like a bunch of kindergartners, or disagreeing on politics like kindergartners. It's just, it's just, and Black Widow's whiny and depressed, but thank God she kills herself, so we don't have to listen to her more whiny voice of being whiny and broody with the eggs. And everyone's all overly brooding and whiny except for Hulk. He's just a comedic gag at this character at this point. And he's not Hulk anymore, he's Bruce Banner, which is the Hulk's body. That's not the same thing as Hulk. So, he's an idiot in this movie written as he can't crack the code for time travel without causing problems. So he can't help without Tony. He can't help without Tony Stark. So Tony needs to be the only one that's able to crack time travel when he didn't want it to help at first. Now he changed his mind, and he has a kid now, and that goes nowhere. And you don't really do that much with the kid in the movie. Showed that many scenes with him and the kid. So anyway, then they go on a time heist, they call it in the movie. Then when they get back from the time heist, the third act happens finally, and that's when the movie finally feels like it's getting going. Just when you find out it's just wrapping up at the end. But it just feels like it just started with the third act battle at the end, when Thanos comes with the time travel machine on the other end with the past Nebula's help. And none of this stuff is even interesting before it happens. Before the final battle, nothing of this movie is fun or interesting or keeps me engaged. I just want it to wrap up. Yeah, it was cool that Captain America finally said Avengers Assemble. But at what cost? in such a lame movie that's unimaginably bland and bland color tones and blander characters and a blander villain in the third act. I know it's the same villain Thanos, but it makes sense to. I call it a separate villain because he's like from a separate timeline. This Thanos, so he's more one-dimensional and less depth than the Thanos from Infinity War. So he's written as such a stereotype villain this time. Yeah, so this movie had a lot of lame elements to it. I give it a 2 out of 10. I give Avengers Endgame a 2 out of 10. And Infinity War is a 5 out of 10. This movie and Endgame really sucked. The word. It was lame. I give it a 2 out of 10. Goodbye. Subscribe.